Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about a brand that you probably have heard of before. In fact, most people have heard of this brand and they associate it with amplifiers, not necessarily with earbuds. The brand we're talking about in this video is actually Marshall. Now, for me, when I think of Marshall, I think of the amplifiers behind a lot of like the great rock guitarists out there from like Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and different artists like that you would see them on stage and behind them would have a stack of Marshall amplifiers. It's kind of a staple of classic rock or just the genre of rock in general. But recently, their brand has been popping up on some earbuds. And so I've been getting, honestly, a lot of earbuds. They pile up on my desk, and I test as many as I can, but a lot of times I don't get to test all of them. But I'm really glad that I finally got to test these because, especially like the Marshall Mode 2s, actually, let me show you what I have. We've got the Marshall Mode 2, these are the smaller ones right here, and we have the Marshall Motif ANC. And personally, the Marshall Mode 2, like I was just very impressed, not only by the aesthetics of both of these earbuds, but just the sheer compact size of the Marshall Mode 2. So we're gonna dive a lot more into that in this video. We're gonna get into everything you wanna know about these earbuds, but first disclaimer, these were sent to me for free from Marshall, so special thanks to them for sending these two over and for sponsoring this video. Because it's a sponsored video, you guys know what that means. I'm gonna have to do more testing than usual, meaning it's not just my opinions here. I'm gonna show things and demonstrate them so you can make your own decision to decide which of these two would be a better purchase for you. And that includes a microphone test, we'll get into a sound quality analysis, and I'll talk about every difference between these earbuds. I'll also talk about the active noise cancellation versus the passive noise blocking and put that to the test as well so you can see the levels that they actually block, and much, much more than that. So with that being said, let's start off with the basics. In the beginning, of course, you always want to know about the physical design. So looking at the design, both of these have a pretty similar theme in their design, obviously. So looking at, I'll just use the Marshall Mode 2 as an example right here. These are, I mean, like I said, very, very compact, but the big thing is that they look a lot like the amplifiers. And I think that's something that really can't be overstated. People love the amplifiers. It's a classic look. It's really iconic. And having that, not just the logo, but like it looks like the black leather exterior. It's not actually leather here, but it looks exactly like it. It's hard to tell the difference. We've got that textured outside, the little ring around there, and when you open it up, you've got that bronze accent, which again matches up perfectly with the Marshall brand. It looks like an amplifier. Established in 1962, is branded on the top right there, and the button on the inside of the Marshall Mode 2 case, I was very surprised. At first, I thought it was just an aesthetic little ring there, but it's actually the pairing button. And you don't see this often in a lot of earbuds. Usually they have a button on the outside or somewhere else, but having it on the inside protects the button. I think it looks really nice here, and it's an easy way to pair with your phone or unpair and pair with any other device out there. Additionally, another cool thing they did with the case is they put an LED on either side, and that is going to be your indicator for that earbud individually. So rather than having the LED on the earbud, they have it on the case. Kind of a cool concept there. Of course, you've got another LED on the front, and all three of those are indicators for the battery level or for pairing of the earbuds and the case individually. Now moving over to the other pair of earbuds, the Marshall Motif ANC, as the name suggests, one of the big differences here is going to be that these have active noise cancellation. And so we'll get into the ANC test later on in the video, but the design, once again, has kind of that, it looks like black leather on the outside. We still have the Marshall branding on the front. This one has a button on the front instead of on the inside, but that's because when you open it, there's not a lot of room for a button in that style. And the earbuds themselves are a little bit different here as well, still having that bronze accent, still saying established 1962. But diving into the difference in the earbuds, you'll see this is a fundamental, kind of a debate, and you guys can leave a comment below and let me know which style you like better, aesthetically and comfort and everything like that. But you have one style that's a little bit more like compact, in your ear, no stem, and then the other design is the stemmed design. Now on the stem of the Marshall Motif ANC, you've got kind of a little texture there that is kind of, again, fitting in with that common theme of looking like the amplifier, feeling kind of like the amplifier, and we've got the Marshall branding on the outside as well. So honestly, a pretty nice look wearing these. They're not that, oh, loud music. Let's pause that. You can see a pretty nice look. Now I'm talking loud because the active noise cancellation is on here, but a pretty clean look on these earbuds. I'm not always the biggest fan of the stemmed look. Like personally, I prefer the Marshall Mode 2 aesthetic, but you guys can leave a comment and let me know what you think. The reason that I really like the Marshall Mode 2 aesthetic here is that they're even slimmer. Like these are very compact. I think I could probably sleep on my side wearing these, which is saying a lot. They really fit very compact and flat in your ears. Now, some other things that both of these do have, getting back to some similarities, They both have wireless charging, which is great. They both have mono mode, so you can listen to just one earbud while the other one is in the case. They both have just one color, which at first I thought maybe would be a drawback, but given that the aesthetic is, I mean, I really like it, and they're trying to look like the amplifiers, it makes sense that it's only available in one color. But the battery life is really going to be your next difference, which obviously ties into the difference in size and geometry and features as well. So the Marshall Mode 2s have 5 hours of battery in the earbuds and 25 hours when you include the case, while the Marshall Motifs ANC have 4.5 hours in the earbuds and 20 hours when you include the case, and that's given if you have active noise cancellation on. Both of these have touch controls on the outside. If you go in the app, you can either enable or disable touch controls. Now, the touch controls are not actually customizable in the app, but you still have a reasonable array of functions you can do with them. But they both, as I kind of mentioned, they do have the app, so this app works with both Android and iOS. But the comfort of these, I thought they do a pretty decent job, especially, like I said, I've really been talking up these Marshall Mode 2s because I've been a huge fan of really light earbuds. Additionally, they kind of have a bulge on the bottom and up on the top that fit really well and kind of hold them in your ear. I mean, I wish I knew the terms for like the different little parts of like an ear geometry, but these just really grab the inside of your ear well. Now the Marshall Motifs in my ear, the plastic's not the most forgiving, so for me personally, it stays in my ear well and I can get used to the comfort of it, but they're not quite as comfortable as the Marshall Mode 2 for my ears personally. Another thing to note that's really kind of interesting and unique about these is that and they really didn't even have to do this. I'm glad that they did though. They have IPX4 water resistance on the case, which is something you don't normally see. A lot of earbuds don't have a rating on the case, and then it's IPX5 on the earbuds, which is great. So if you're running, working out, whatever you might be doing, if you take any kind of splashing, these should be decently water resistant. Now, another difference is actually in the connection with these to your devices. So although they both have essentially the same codecs, getting SBC, AAC, and aptX, the Bluetooth connectivity is very slightly different. You're getting Bluetooth 5.1 on the Marshall Mode 2s and Bluetooth 5.2 on the Marshall Motif ANC. And 5.2 is really the latest. That's the one that everybody's using. It's a standard, and it's a very solid, stable connection. Now, as far as sound quality goes, between these earbuds, they both have the same codecs. They honestly sound really similar to each other. I would say the Marshall Motif ANC might have a tad more low-level detail, but they both have like a pretty decent balance. It's going to give you a lively, fun sound, especially if you're listening to something like the Glass Animals or some type of alt-rock or even pop for that matter. Just something that's going to have a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and it gives you kind of a V-shape, essentially EQ there. Now you can equalize it yourself, but the natural balance of these does sound, like I said, very lively, similar to what we're seeing on the likes of like the Galaxy Buds do that as well. A lot of the earbuds started doing that recently, and for most music out there, it sounds really good. Now, if you tweak the EQ yourself, you can find maybe a little bit more for what you're looking for. If you're a total bass head and you want the biggest bass on the market, like you can dial the bass up and it does a pretty decent job, although sometimes if I push the bass too much, you get a little bit of like a clicking sound in the earbuds. So I mean, be careful how much you're going to push it, but it still delivers, like I said, a pretty solid bass. The bass is somewhere between punchy and boomy, which is kind of a nice balance. It's really for the broadest range of music out there, it's going to be pretty much where you want it to be. And like I said, the highs are also pretty good. They can be like maybe a tad congested if we're really nitpicking on what is different about the sound, and maybe a little sibilant as well. But overall, I think most people listening to these earbuds are really going to love them. Very pleasant sound, and like I said, lively and fun to listen to. So any kind of music you're looking for, it's probably going to give you like a very exciting experience when you're listening to music. But now let's actually get into a microphone test, because obviously when you're wearing earbuds, phone calls are incredibly important.
All right, so here's a microphone test outside where there's some traffic behind me, and these are the Marshall Mode 2s. It's a little bit breezy out here, so leave a comment and let me know how this sounds. Now these are the Marshall Motif ANC, so let me know if these sound any better.
So now let's talk about hearing your surroundings or not hearing your surroundings with active noise cancellation. But starting off with transparency mode, these both have that. And when you wear your earbuds, you can actually adjust it in the app anywhere from 0% up to 100% in 10% increments, which is really cool. I can hear my surroundings right now. It sounds like a little bit muffled, like obviously I have something in my ears, but otherwise it's useful for hearing if somebody's going to come over and ask you a question, or if if you want to hear traffic when you're going for a run on the streets, like it's a useful feature to have. Now, as far as active noise cancellation goes, that's something I wish we saw on the Marshall Mode 2s because, like I said, I really love the size and comfort of these, but if you want that ANC, you have to go up to the Marshall Motif ANCs. Granted, it's only about a $20 price difference, so it's really not that much extra to get the active noise cancellation. Now, as far as blocking sounds around you, either actively or passively, I did the same test I always do, where I played a sound on a speaker somewhere in front of me, and I turned the volume up gradually, and I had these in my ear, and I wanted to see at what level they weren't able to block it out anymore. And so the passive noise blocking with these was approximately the same. Because the Mode 2 fit a little bit better in my ear, they were about 5% higher than the Marshall Motif ANCs. But when we fired up the active noise cancellation, the Marshall Motif ANCs were blocking about 35% more volume than the Marshall Mode 2. So that was a pretty impressive jump there. Active noise cancellation definitely makes a difference if you're on a bus or a train or a plane or something like that. So that's something that is definitely worth considering. All right, now let's answer the question that I started this video with, and that is, which of these earbuds is actually better? Now, personally, I'm a big fan of smaller earbuds that are very comfortable and extremely light, and given that these both have a similar sound profile, maybe a little bit more detail in the Motif ANC, and you are getting active noise cancellation, I personally would opt for the Marshall Mode 2. Also a slightly longer battery life, and I really just love the way the case looks. If you're gonna look like an amplifier, like I just love that little bronze button there. But you know, some people want the active noise cancellation, and in that case, maybe you wanna go for the Motif ANCs. But leave a comment and let me know which of these you actually like better. Once again, thanks to Marshall for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you next time.